Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called How Australia's Gun Control Experiment Worked. And I've watched a few videos before about Australian gun control, so I know a little bit, but obviously I want to learn more. Just the sort of terming of this title, I'm not too sure is fair. It says here experiment. From my understanding, it wasn't so much an experiment, it was quite a definitive decision in response to the massacre in Tasmania, I think it was. So an experiment seems, I don't know, just kind of maybe the wrong word to use, but interested to learn more about the whole situation. Tell me what you know about it, what you think about Australia's gun control, especially in comparison to other countries, as we always compare. But let's just learn about Australia's gun control with this video. Tell me what you think.
Anti-gun activists in the US have been pushing for gun law reform. Australia, having made substantial changes to its gun laws, is often held as an example. The country has a very low rate of gun-related homicide when compared to the US, where people are at least 20 times more likely to be murdered by firearms.
I mean, just looking at that comparison there that's unbelievable, man. Like the US is a first world country, somewhere that a lot of people want to go and live, but the difference there in homicide rates is quite insane. Again, somewhere like Australia, I guess, is very much more similar to where I'm from in Britain. Ours also was like in response to a massacre in Dunblane, and obviously that's reduced homicide rates right down, but it's just frightening what the US is at.
Firearms. Stricter gun controls can't stop every mass shooting, but they have made Australia a significantly safer place. Here's how. Australia used to have a serious problem with gun violence. Researchers define mass shootings as 5 or more deaths, not including the perpetrator. From 1979 to 1996, there were 13 mass shootings, resulting in over 100 deaths and more than 50 injuries.
I mean, even the phrasing of that, like, that's horrific. Obviously 13 incidents, 13 obviously want 0 incidents ideally, but to say it's a serious issue during that time, 17 years, when you look at the US, they have like probably 13 incidents a month. I don't know if is that fair. What I think from what I heard last year, they had like a lot of mass shootings. In comparison to that, it doesn't seem, but obviously that's a bit disrespectful to the people who died and stuff in here. But it was obviously an issue in comparison to today. Tell me again, like they said, it's like Australia's a much safer place. Do you feel that, like after 1996? Do you feel like it's a safer place? You just feel it's always been safe? Did you notice any tangible difference in your life?
However, due to the gun lobby and politicians sympathetic to their firearm-owning voters, little was done to stop gun deaths.
Being a politician and living in that bloody house is the most important thing to them. They're not worth it.
In April 1996, that all changed.
On the island of Tasmania, the worst massacre in Australian history is finally over. At least 34 people were killed and 4 others critically wounded.
Armed with 2 rifles, an AR-15 and a .308 FN, Martin Bryant made his way through Port Arthur Historic Site, killing 35 people and injuring a further 20. .308 FN.
4 others critically wounded.
Armed with 2 rifles, an AR-15 and a .308 FN, Martin Bryant made his way through Port Arthur Historic Site, killing 35 people and injuring a further 23. Both guns were semi-automatic, rapid-fire weapons, and both were legal in the state of Tasmania.
I mean, that's not a rapid fire. This rifle thing is not rapid fire, is it? I think.
Legal in the state of Tasmania. At the time, the Port Arthur Massacre was the worst single-person mass shooting in global history. It utterly shocked Australians and reignited public outrage. Just 12 days later, the then Prime Minister John Howard pushed through a sweeping set of gun regulations, despite a lack of support from his rural constituency.
I'm sorry about that, but there is no other way. There is no other way.
Within a month.
Oh man, like even that, just I know that's a small snippet of this speech, like, but to see a politician have such, like, I don't know what John Howard, how he's thought of in Australia today, how he's remembered, what is, I guess this will be his legacy, but like how he's thought of as a person and so on. But to see him like be that brave and be basically saying something to a lot of people who don't want to hear it, basically booing him, I think that's very, very brave.
Within a month, the government passed the National Firearms Agreement, transforming gun legislation in the country. Before the Port Arthur massacre, gun laws varied from state to state. What the agreement did was standardise the laws nationally. Certain semi-automatics and self-loading rifles and shotguns were banned. New licensing requirements were adopted, and a national firearms registry was established. The law says Australians need a genuine reason for having a firearm, such as sport shooting or for agricultural use. It doesn't include self-defence. People must go through background checks and wait 28 days before they can buy a gun. The government also spent $375 million to buy back 640,000 civilian-owned guns and then destroyed them.
Yeah, I guess I think to my memory they had a similar sort of buyback scheme in the UK when they were doing that, and they regularly have them for knives and that sort of thing. Tell me, like, what you think about this at this time. Was there a lot of people who disagreed with this? Obviously, they say in more rural places. In the US, you hear the thing that they talk about is self-defense. That's the main thing they want for protecting their home, but it's also in case the government decide to go after normal people, so they've got some sort of defense. Is there anybody in Australia who has that similar mentality or similar thought that you know of or have heard about?
After the gun law reform, the total number of homicides involving a firearm decreased by half. The total number of gun-related deaths fell rapidly as well, dropping more than half in 2016 compared with 1996. Australia didn't see a single mass shooting from 1996 to 2018, more than 22 years. However, anti-gun activists warned that following years of lobbying by pro-gun groups, Australia's strict gun laws have been eroded, and gun numbers are almost back to the same level as at the time of the Port Arthur massacre.
Really? Well,
in May 2018, a family of 7, including 4 children, were shot dead in an apparent murder-suicide in the state of Western Australia. It's brought back painful memories and uncertainty about the issue many thought had been resolved. Australia is not totally immune to mass shootings, but its response to the Port Arthur massacre demonstrated how strong political leadership and strict gun control policies can help curb violence and save lives.
yeah, it's definitely strong political leadership, bravery as well. When you compare it to US, it's quite surprising, that it said that the ownership of guns is back up to a level of what it was beforehand. But I guess at least the people owning the guns maybe are more responsible because they have more checks and more things they have to go through to actually own a gun. So guns are just not in the hands of anybody, which you see in the US, so many of these mass shootings, and is people probably shouldn't own a gun in the first place, have just got guns because they can go to malls or supermarkets and buy them and so on. But tell me what you think about this, about the current situation, about 1996 and how things changed. Thanks.